Hey, so here we are. Good evening and good morning or good afternoon to some of you all, wherever you are. I am Jay Turner, success coach with EduJ LLC, and I'm just going to hop on Facebook and do a little bit of my very first test stream. So I get a lot of questions from people that I work with, people that I coach, and they're always like, "Hey Jay, where do you get like all that crazy energy in the morning?" And for those of you who know me, and even if you don't, I tend to be someone who doesn't get a lot of sleep. I don't sleep very much. I always figured that you can sleep when you die. Of course, I also recognize the importance of sleep, but this isn't about how to develop better sleep habits. This is about what are some things that we can do every morning to maximize the amount of minutes and to really manage our energy throughout today. So, even though it is evening here in Atlanta, Georgia, I'm going to actually peel back the layers, rewind time just a little bit, and go back to the very beginning of my day and kind of talk through what are some of the things that I do in the morning and what are some of the things that the most successful people that I know do every morning to ensure that they are making the most amount of impact. So, over these next few minutes, I'm going to give you just a few pointers on how you can maximize your day. And like Ice Cube says, make today as a good day. Today is a good day. Every day is a good day. Any day this side of the dirt is a great day by me. So I always like to start off with this idea that when you are beginning your day, that you start it right here in your head. We all need a mental roadmap. The reality is there's a whole lot of clutter in our lives. There's a whole lot of clutter that we keep in our heads. And so whenever we are stepping out into the day, out into the real world, and we are having to tackle the myriad challenges that we have, whether it's family or issues with our friends and or work, all of these things that are in front of us, it's very important that we have a really clear roadmap for what is it exactly that I'm trying to do on this given day. So when I wake up in the morning, and I usually wake up somewhere around 3 and 4 a.m., and that's about 3 hours to 4 hours before my kids wake up, before I even get out of bed, I will lie in the bed while I'm still warm and comfortable under my covers, and I'll just take mental inventory of all the things personally and professionally that I have to accomplish in that day. Now, I'm a huge fan of making lists. I have to do lists out of the wazoo, and I have lots of different tools that I use to manage those. But when I'm in that bed by myself, there is no list. There is no Microsoft OneNote. There is no project planner. All I have are the things that are been simmering in the back of my mind. Oftentimes, things that I've been thinking about subconsciously as I sleep, and those are all starting to bubble up right there in those quiet hours while I'm still tucked nice and comfortably in my sheets. And so I give myself 15 to 30 minutes while I'm lying in bed and just start to strategize, start to think about what are the things I want to do in a given day. Now, you can do this in multiple ways. You can make this a stream of consciousness. You can think about literally all the things that are on your mind, and you can do what I call a brain dump. Usually next to my bed, I keep my cell phone, which is really good for taking notes. But if you're a pen and paper kind of person, grab your pen, grab your paper, grab your notepad, and literally start writing down all of those things that have been percolating in your head when you wake up, and get them on paper. It doesn't have to be in any particular order. All that matters is you get all of those thoughts, all the things that are, oh my goodness, I have to take care of today. Get that down on paper. And once you move beyond the items that are, kind of sitting at the top of your head, all the fires you have to put out, I want you to take a step back and start thinking a little bit more strategically and thinking about, okay, I know that I'm going to be at work for 8 hours or 10 hours or what have you in this given day. Think about what are 2 to 3 large things that you want to make some material progress on throughout that day. You see, when you look at that list that you came up with in the morning, you're going to have a whole lot of little fires. And if we're not careful, we spend so much of our time getting caught up in those little fires that we think about every morning that by the time we really get into like the groove and get our energy percolating and going for the workday, we're still just extinguishing fire after fire after fire. And what we need to do is just be aware of like what are the things that beyond the fires what are the 2 to 3 big things that I want to tackle that day? Whether you get them fully complete or not, depending on if you have a deadline, that might not necessarily be an issue, but you have to make incremental progress every day on those large and critical items. Outside of work, I want you to also be thinking about what's your mental roadmap for being present for the people in your life. I get it. Most of us, by the time you factor in how much time you spend in traffic, how much time you spend thinking about work at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning in the bed. But in general, most of us who work full time, we spend more hours working or thinking about our jobs than we do with our actual families and our friends and the people that we care about. So, in those minutes, in those hours that we have with the people that we treasure and the people that we love, we need to be thinking about what am I going to do in my roadmap to ensure that I am there and I'm present in the moment with the people that I care about when I'm done working. And so, what I challenge my clients to do oftentimes is after you've done that brain dump of the fires you have to put out at work, after you've identified 2 to 3 priority items that you want to work on at work, I challenge you, even myself, I challenge myself to be thinking about what are those things that we can do to be present in the moment and show the people that we care about that we really care about them in any given day. Because the reality is, no day is promised to us. So as you're making your roadmap, think about one person, at least one person in your personal life that you want to show just a little bit of appreciation to, and make it a point to make that happen. So the next thing that I like to do to have a successful day is to really focus on getting moving. There is nothing that feels better in the morning than to get those endorphins going. Oftentimes it feels so easy while you're in the bed and you're lying there and you're making your roadmap and you're still nice and cozy and snuggly. It's hard sometimes to get out of bed and want to do something. But what I found for many of the successful people that I know is that they exercise in the morning. So the thing is, again, it goes back to many of us being in the business of busyness, right? By the time you factor in, again, your commute time at work, all the things you do while you're at work, your lunch break, it's very difficult to find time to exercise. And I believe wholeheartedly that we should all be doing some type of physical exercise every day. Even if it's just taking 20 minutes, 30 minutes to walk around your neighborhood, hop on your treadmill at a leisurely pace. If you do HIIT, you can do 20 minutes of high intensity cardio in your home. But whatever you do, I'm always, always, always advocating that you find a way to get moving in the morning. I feel very fortunate and blessed that, at my current stage in my career, I do work from home. And so I recognize that that's not necessarily a setup that everyone has. But I can also tell you that I spent most of my career working in an office and I still followed the same guidance. Get up in the morning and get moving. So for me, after I've lied in the bed and I've made my mental roadmap for the priorities and the challenges I want to tackle for today, while I'm still kind of cogitating on those things, I'll go downstairs and I will get on my used treadmill that I got from the thrift store. I got a really good deal on that, by the way, but I'll get on my treadmill and I will get in my 45 minutes to an hour of cardio in the morning. What I really love about that movement, I'm not running, my knees can't take it, but just being down there, getting moving, it gets my endorphins going, it gets my blood pumping. It actually wakes me all the way up. And being wide awake, being fully awake, all lends to you being fully present in your life. And you're going to need that presence when you're starting out your day because you don't want to start your day off on a bad foot. So sweat a little bit, move a little bit. Even that movement's great for your back. You sleep in the bed, you get old like I am. I mean, that back gets to hurting in the morning. So it feels great to just be able to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to get downstairs and move around a little bit, loosen up my back as I think about the day and have that quiet time. The great part about having your exercise in the morning is you can almost multitask with it if you feel the need to. Remember, you've already developed your mental roadmap before you get out of bed. if you're taking your time to exercise and get some of that routine in, you can be thinking about items on your list while you're exercising. You're doing it early in the morning, so you have, or you should have, hardly any distractions because let's face it, you do this, typically your kids are still asleep. Your spouse might still be asleep. There's no one there but you. It is you working with you, or if you're purely focusing on the exercise, it is you versus you. And that is a great way to start your day. So after you've cogitated, after you've got them moving, then I say, all right, you know what? I'm sweaty. Let's towel down. And then let's really go about planning our day. So we talked about when you are in the bed and you have your pen and your paper and you're just writing down your thoughts. It doesn't have to be in any particular order. But when it comes to planning your day, now it's time for us to kind of take that brain dump that we initially put on paper when we were lying in the bed, and maybe we thought about it for just a little bit while we were doing some exercise. Now let's take that one step further, move it one step forward, and get a real plan of attack for how you're going to go about your day. Take your list, pick the most pressing fires, and then determine how much time you're really going to spend fighting those fires today. And then look at your priorities and think about how many hours is it going to take for me to make meaningful progress on these priority areas that I identified. And if you still have a little bit of time before the kids wake up, before the spouse wakes up, or before you have to really get the shower and get out of the house and get in your car to get in that traffic to go to the office, sit down in front of your computer. Look at your calendar and actually plot out the time that you're going to take to focus on your forest fires and then your priorities. There are lots of different approaches that you can use to do this. Me personally, when I'm planning my day, I like to, in general, spend the first hour or so literally just organizing my emails, responding to any messages that I might have gotten, while I had left the office the previous day, or anything that was placed on the back burner. Take the first hour of my day, really get caught up on that. And then after that time, I really start doing the organization bit, looking in the calendar saying, okay, now that I've done some work around getting current on the current correspondence that I have to have done from yesterday, what are those forest fires that I have to put out today? And I give myself a time block, because you have to time box these things, or those fires are going to spread everywhere. You can spend the entirety of your workday fighting forest fires. And at the end of your day, at the end of your week, at the end of your review period, you know that you were busy, but when your manager is asking you what were your results, it might be hard pressed to find any, because usually your forest fires are reactionary. And if you spend too much time fighting those fires, you're never moving the needle forward on the things that matter to you, and ultimately the things that matter to the business. So when you're planning your day, answer that correspondence that was left over. Maybe spend your first hour doing that. And then time box, give yourself a little bit of time to focus on the forest fires, and then look for chunks in your day where you can move the needle on some of those larger priorities that you have to contend with. Also, when it comes to planning your attack, I am hoping that many of you get into the habit of really laying out like long-term priorities, long-term goals, so that when you are starting your day and you're beginning your work, you can visibly see how the work you're doing that day ties into the goals that either you've established for yourself or that your job has established for you. Because ultimately, all of your work needs to be tied, strategically into what it is that your business or your organization is trying to accomplish. And if the work doesn't tie into any of those core tenets of why you are there and why your business is in business, then you might be doing some work that's not worthwhile, or you're spinning your wheels and wasting some time. And then the last thing I like to say is, as the clock is ticking forward and it's getting closer to that time where you have to get dressed and you have to wake the kiddos up and you have to kiss the spouse goodbye before he or she goes to work, you just need to relax. It's very easy for us to take the stress of yesterday, the stress of the day before, all the hardness that we go through, all the busyness that we live in. It's so easy to put that on your back and carry it into the office with you. But the thing is, when you bring in that baggage, you're not allowing yourself the what you deserve. You're not giving yourself the grace to be awesome, and you're not giving yourself permission to have an awesome day. So for me, I believe in the power of ritual. When it's time for me to really get ready to start working, and when life begins, and for me, typically that clock is really going off now around 6:30. That's the time I have to wake my youngest son up for school and make sure that my teenagers are actually getting their asses out of bed so they can go to school. They're seniors in high school. My day has really begun in earnest at 6:30 a.m. So, while I'm helping my son get dressed and I put him down and he's eating his breakfast, after I've made sure that my teenagers have gotten out of the house, it's time for me to do just a little bit of mental relaxation. I believe a lot in the power of affirmations. I'll look in the mirror and I would tell myself the things I need to hear for that day so that I have the power to go through, even though some of the harder days. I tell myself that I'm smart. I tell myself that I'm a hard worker. I tell myself that I love and I'm deserving of love. And hearing those things out loud, it's like a song to myself because ultimately no one is responsible for your happiness, your peace, and your state of mind other than you. It is all on you. So what are the little things that you can do to make sure that you are relaxing, getting your Zen on, and getting your head straight for the long day ahead? Affirmations are great. Deep breathing is great. If you have a few minutes left and you want to do some stretching because you're old and your back hurts like mine does all the time, then stretch and breathe and relax. But ultimately, make sure that you have allowed yourself enough time in the morning, regardless of how many responsibilities you have with thinking about work, with getting your kids ready, with helping your partner or your spouse get out of the house, helping yourself get out of the house. Make sure that you build in ample time where you don't feel rushed, because rush preparation in the morning equals a rush worker that goes into the office. You want to make sure that you've given yourself enough time to breathe and to feel that space in your chest and in your mind and in your heart so that you can make today a good day. We all want to be like Ice Cube. We all want today to be a good day. And I'm hoping that through the 4 tips that we've talked through today, it can help you make today one of the best days that you've ever had. I'm Jay Turner, success coach with EduJ LLC. Here's to wishing you a great day, a great week, and hopefully I will see you all again next time. So until then, later, and unleash your inner awesome.